What's up, everybody? Frozen Titan here, back again playing some Wild Hearthstone. Today we'll be featuring the odd version of the Demon Hunter that I've been playing quite a bit, climbing quite a bit. Actually having quite a bit of bad luck today, but hopefully we'll overcome that here. We see the Sigil Runner in the left-hand slot of the hand. Really good, playing off that Outcast mechanic. Lowly Squire, great card to have early on. And I-Beam, great considering this is more than likely some kind of aggro warlock. Could be a Q-block variant as well, but we'll see. One thing I do want to point out about the Outcast mechanic, if you're newer to these decks, definitely tracking your Outcast spells or cards on the left-hand side of the hand is going to be more of your planned out Outcast minions, whereas getting them on the right-hand side is going to be more of more reactive, so you're kind of drawing it that turn, things of that nature. You might kind of get burned by a bit of a noob trap early on and get excited about in the right-handmost slot of your hand on the mulligan having an Outcast minion. You'll quickly realize that you draw a card right away and the Outcast gets nullified. So a little harder to plan around an Outcast being in the right-hand side of your hand. Really loving playing this deck in Wild. Really, in my opinion, the only true version of a Wild Demon Hunter deck that exists. And that's because with the class, just being released for Ashes of Outland, the entire class cards are within standard right now. So the thing that makes this Wild specific is obviously the inclusion of Baku to make it an odd deck. We'll see if he gets some removal here. So we have quite a actually beefy Wild package here, having the Lowly Squire, the Happy Ghoul, Hench Clan Thug, the Vicious Fledgling, our good friend Leroy making a return. Unlucky RNG there. And then Baku to enable the whole thing. So we'll jam down the Satyr and we'll get that going. Feeling good on our plan already. He hasn't been able to get down any lifesteal or healing. Really, we're looking to win kind of by turn 7, turn 8, getting Priestess of the Fury or Priestess of the Fury with the hero power or Metamorphosis, Leroy. Any of those great 5, 7 drops that we have at our disposal. So we're going to kind of lock him out of some removal with some mana burn. Really great card when you're playing against any kind of control-oriented matchup, especially if you are pretty savvy with the classes and know the mana breakpoints that they need to get off a lot of their removals. So, for example, I doubt that he's running a Hellfire, but he would not be able to run a Hellfire without coining. So, yep, get the win right there. You saw kind of the game plan to a T. We won by turn 5. We had, what was that, like a 3-minute game? Really the type of games Demon Hunter is looking for there. Unfortunately, as we're trying to break down this deck and really dive a little deeper into some of the synergies, I wasn't able to show off pretty much any of the synergies except for Satyr and what I've learned based on the Outcast mechanic that maybe you guys don't already know. So we're going to try and get into another game and see if we can show off a few more of the synergies. If we don't, or if we're not able to show off some of those, I'll kind of take us into the collection and maybe explain through some of the ones that we didn't get to. Let's see what we're going to play up against next. Okay, Warrior. So I feel like generally speaking, we're favored against Pirate Warrior. I generally feel like Demon Hunter favored against other aggro decks. All right, let's do our mulligan here. So we're definitely getting rid of those. Yeah, again, this is kind of the noob trap where you would think this is a must keep because you can activate Outcast. Again, that's not the case. You'll draw a card right away, and you won't be able to Outcast it on the left until you play these other 2 cards. So I am going to mulligan this away in favor of hopefully getting a Battle Fiend, a Lowly Squire, or something else. We did get the Sigil Runner back in, I don't know if it's a more favorable or at least less favorable because we won't play that Leroy for some time. It's going to have to be our 1-drop. Yeah, ultimately not a very good mulligan. We'll see if he can punish us if he is running a Pirate Warrior or anything like that. I think if it was, you know, Mech Warrior or something like that, we might be in a little bit of trouble. Let's see what he's running. Okay, Corsair Cache. So probably is a pirate variant. We'll see if we can outdamage him here. Tempted to mana burn him so that he can't get ahead of us on board while we, you know, are struggling for cards. We'll probably do that next turn if he plays something good. Another Corsair Cache. Yeah, really trying to fish for weapons. Kind of interesting. Trying to think if there's any other warrior archetypes that would want to be doing that. Yeah, again, really terrible draws so far. Getting the Baku, getting the Leroy so early. We are already 8 damage to face, which is something maybe to celebrate. Yeah, hopefully we can get him low enough that the Leroy in the hand is more of a blessing than a curse. Okay, armoring up. Yeah, maybe this is kind of indicating a slower control variant. I'm trying to remember if something like you know, a Dead Man's Hand type warrior runs these for I'm blanking on the new shield weapon to tutor out that card. Could tutor out some Wrench Scaliburs, but I think those are generally coupled, you know, with mechs for the most part. Yeah, really left speculating a lot on what deck he could be playing. The nice thing about running this Odd Demon Hunter is if he, you know, if we never find out his archetype, that's okay, because we'll just have pushed enough damage to face that we'll have ultimately won the game. Okay, Ritual Chopper. Oh, Galakrond. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about Galakrond earlier. Yeah, we can dispatch that with I-Beam, you know, fairly handedly. Will mana burn him this turn, because again, having really bad draws. It sets us up for a fairly strong Metamorphosis turn next turn. You know, hopefully getting us into lethal in the next 2 turns, getting the Metamorphosis with the Hero Power cast, and then the Leroy in the next 2 turns if he doesn't gain armor or play a taunt. I know those are 2 pretty big what ifs, but yeah, that'll lead us to victory pretty quickly. There's the Armor Smith that we were talking about. So yeah, I feel like that meme, you know, where the guy taps his head. Can't gain armor off my minions if I don't play any minions. We'll see if he activates that with any of his whirlwind type effects or not. Yeah, if he doesn't have those in hand, again, we've kind of won this, you know, in our time frame. That's 7 mana, 8 mana turn. Yeah, it looks like we will win this out here. Showing off, you know, really clearly what the Odd Demon Hunter's game plan is from start to finish in both games. Even this turn, kind of getting some bad draws off, we were still able to push through really quickly. I think I started this off sharing that I've had kind of a bad luck streak heading into this, but these are 2, you know, prototypical Odd Demon Hunter games. I didn't get to show off all the synergies, so I do want to take us into oh nice, I'm getting my rewards real quick. I do want to take us into the collection to go through some synergies that we didn't necessarily get to show that hopefully you can take into your games as well if you're choosing to play this deck. All right. So we talked really, you know, you want to get the Battle Fiend, the Lowly Squire, as your 1-drops. We talked pretty at length about the outcast mechanic. On the left-hand side, you're looking for your planned, kind of proactive outcast plays. On the right side of your hand, you're looking for those reactive type outcast plays, drawing into them. Top decking a Sigil Runner, top decking an I-Beam, getting quote unquote lucky, so to speak. We didn't get to show off the Warblades, but that has some synergies in the deck, along with I-Beam. Both lifesteal effects have some synergies with the Happy Ghoul, getting to cheat that out for 0 mana. HenchClan Thug and Satyr have really strong synergy with Warglaives. So being able to attack multiple times a turn, if you were to, for instance, attack all 4 turns, or all 4 of the durability of the Warglaives, you would get a HenchClan Thug up to a 7/7 in 1 turn if you were able to have the proper setup. You would also turn this 4/2. You would create 4 2/2s. Getting essentially an 8/8 on board plus a 4/2. Just a really filthy setup if you have Warglaives already set up. Vicious Fledgling is, just a great way for you to maybe snowball a game. The deck I'm running at least only has 1, so just a way to kind of bail you out, or just another tool in your arsenal if you ultimately need it. Glaive-bound Adept, really just a great tool for getting to parity in board state. Love playing this on like a 6 mana turn. Having this with the mana burn really is a strong tempo swing. So you'll swing from potentially being behind on board to being ahead, removing your opponent's ability to swing the board state back into their favor with some of their removal tools. Leroy, just obviously a great card. I truly miss Leroy in Standard. I understand why they had to Hall of Fame it, design space and all that, but I love still being able to play the card in Wild. Metamorphosis. I feel like I've said this about a lot of these, a lot of the top end of the deck, but they're often not a card to play on curve. Metamorphosis is a really strong 6 mana combo or 7 mana combo where you play the card into the hero power, or you hero power your upgraded hero power, Metamorphosis, and then you have the attack plus the 5 damage. So you're talking about 7 damage for 7 mana there. Potentially even more if you have one of the weapons. Priestess of the Fury, really one of the reasons to play the class. Deals with very squishy wide board, helps you against other aggro matchups. If you're playing against a control matchup, if they have no minions on board, 6 damage straight to face, essentially like a charge, right? So yeah, those are just some of the synergies we didn't ultimately get to, but I did want to highlight about the deck. Having really strong success with it, having that 57 roughly, I think before this, percent win percentage. Did climb a little bit since the last video. Still haven't been playing a ton of Hearthstone, but did get back up into Platinum. Ended the last month, Diamond 2. Hoping to get back up there pretty soon to take some of these guides into a bit of the higher ranks. If you enjoyed this, let me know if you'd like to see any specific decks next time. I'm considering something like showing off the Secret Mage. While that hasn't changed in a while, maybe you're newer to the format. Also considering showing off one of my old favorite decks, the Rizaka's Priest. That one, might only lend itself to one game because those can drag out quite a bit. And yeah, I might actually deep dive the Priest class a little further. One of my favorite classes all time in Hearthstone. Has some very unique archetypes, very control oriented most of the time. A lot of the card generation can be very fun. But yeah, if you have an idea or a deck you'd like me to feature, do leave it in the comments, and I'll feature it in an upcoming video. Hope you enjoyed this one on the Odd Demon Hunter. Hopefully you can take it into ranked and have as much success as I do. Since we did go through the collection this time, you should have the full deck. I will try and remember to post the actual deck code this time. I think I failed to do that for my Jade Druid. But yeah, check the description as well for the deck code. And yeah, thanks again for joining me today. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.